presents Solving Exponents. Have fun! Thank you for being here. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Mark Thomson. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So what do you do for a living?
I am a contractor and I work for the Navy, and I help them procure or buy new equipment. So torpedoes, submarines, sonar systems, periscopes, stuff like that. Mostly for the submarine force, but overall for the Navy.
Katie, do you want to go?
Okay, I was trying to. Okay. As a student, did you think that you would one day pursue a job using so much math?
I guess I would say I knew I enjoyed math and sciences because that came easy to me. So I guess the simple answer to your question is yes, just because that's what I was drawn to. So, but I probably didn't think it was I never knew where I was gonna go, but I knew I was gonna have to do with science and math because that's what interested me when I was your age.
How did you get into your line of work?
I guess ultimately it's because I joined the Navy. I was finishing up college and didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I didn't want to do the standard thing that most people my, kind of peer group did. I had the opportunity to join the Navy, and I joined the Navy and I was in the Navy for almost 8 years on submarine force. And so that led me to, when I got out of the Navy, kind of led me naturally into a job supporting the Navy. It kind of all fit together nicely. But I certainly wasn't going this route towards the Navy when I was in college. I was studying civil engineering, another math-heavy field, or math-involved field. But, definitely not planning to be in the Navy. But the Navy certainly led me to my job now, supporting the Navy. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What are ways to use math outside your work?
Outside my work? Certainly, just simple math, like at the grocery store, adding things up in my head a little bit as I'm going through the store and, ballpark what my costs are. I would say the most of the way I use math is understanding how some of the math equation works for finance, for how your money grows over time. So understanding that and being able to build some spreadsheets. If I save, 5 or 10% of my money, what's my savings going to look like in 10 or 20 years? Being able to do that math myself instead of trusting others is, kind of allows me to feel like I have a little bit of understanding of my own finances and my family's finances, so we're prepared for the future. So I think that's the biggest way I would say I use it outside of work is mostly finance. How does my future look?
Yeah. How do you think your job shaped your life?
I don't know if it really did. I think, I try to separate my life, what is going on in my life, family and friends and stuff, separate it from my job. So I try not to let my life take up too much of my job take up too much of my life. But, kind of everything, it seems like everything comes back to the Navy for me, and all the things I learned, from being a part of the Navy kind of shaped my worldview of trying to have, they certainly influenced my desire to have things a little more organized and set in a certain way. So that certainly has influenced my life. I think I avoided your question.
What got you interested in math?
I guess I would say it was just probably more just being good at it or better at it than some of my other subjects. I think I wasn't bad in English, but it certainly was not my, one of my better things. I think it's just, I was more interested in math because I was better at it. So I think maybe that's natural that people are drawn to things that they're better at. So they, want to do that more because it feels better. It feels better to do things you're good at than to keep pounding your head into, trying to write a persuasive paper that, it's hard for you. That certainly is how I feel.
What would your favorite memory of your job or some place you went, what would your favorite memory be about that?
Obviously, I mean, I think, we moved to Italy for 2 years, and I got to see a lot of Europe when we lived there. So I think, being able to go to, Turkey and Istanbul, and pull into Split, Croatia, and stuff on a ship when we were living in Naples, that was really some of my most interesting experiences. Just because they're, these places are just thousands of years old compared to our country, and you just see so many things that you just blow you away. What else?
Katie, do you have any more questions?
No, the last one was kind of a weird one, and I was scrapping for stuff.
Well, there's the other one that you get, how do I use math in my job today?
Oh, yeah. How do you use math in your job, and what do you do with math in your job?
I guess there's two ways that I use math in my job, because we're looking to buy new systems for the submarines. That costs money on one hand, so we have to be able to figure out how much things can cost over time, right? So we have to lay out money across 10 or 12 years to develop it and then start to buy it. So we have to calculate not just money, what things are worth today, but inflate the money to the future. So there's a lot of math involved in that, of calculating the total costs over 20 or 30 years of buying a system or some torpedo. And then the other way I use math is, I would say, kind of physical world calculations, like how does sound travel in water. So doing some of the calculations, I don't get into the super detailed calculations, but I kind of do the high level calculations of, how far does sound need to travel in water. If I want to buy a certain, be careful not to go into anything classified, but if I want to buy something to be able to hear a bad guy submarine at X distance, then I need to figure out how good my sonar system needs to be able to figure that out. So going through all the math and calculations of, how does sound travel through water, and then what do the characteristics of the bad guy, looking that up in some intelligence databases, and then being able to figure out how good our systems need to be able to do that. So I would say it kind of boils down to, again, finances of buying things, and then secondly, some of the physics of how do the equations work to actually be able to define how good the system should be to meet our goals.
And then I think the last question is, what was your favorite subject in high school math, or just any subject?
I probably calculus. I think that was my senior year math class. I'm sure they do. Everything's a little bit different now. And it was hard, but I don't know. Part of it was just the teacher. Having a good teacher that makes the class fun, even if it's hard, was kind of the thing. So I had Mr. Smith. He was a great teacher. He's a little bit younger, so he, more relatable when you're 18. To have, a 28-year-old teacher. But he was excited. He enjoyed it. He was passionate about it. So I think that wears off on the class and makes you more enjoyable for you. So that was probably my favorite math class in high school.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah,
I certainly enjoyed it. I think it's my first interview for a video cast or a podcast or anything.
Called a vlogcast.
A vlogcast. So I'm feeling quite honored, I guess. But thank you guys for having me.